today in the evening, because it happened that I should present a paper on very closely related topic the day after tomorrow in Shanghai. So I should exercise a kind of tricky thing of moving from here to another hemisphere. But anyway, I have a privilege to transfer some of ideas I've learned here to the meeting in China, and so to bring BRICS even more closer together. And the final thing is that I'm not the director of my institute as was presented, but I am director of one of the departments of the institute. But still, I rest my presentation and the ideas I'd like to present to you on the joint work of my institute, which is New Strategic Forecast for World Economy and Politics, which is just released. So I'm happy to be one of the first specialists of my institute who can present some part of our job to this audience. And now we can shift to my main presentation. So I wrote some highlights of my talk, not to force you to read what is in my presentation, but just to structure the ideas and structure basic problems that I feel are crucial to our cooperation on issues on global financial architecture. First, I would like to enumerate the hottest issues of global financial governance that can be and should be addressed with our combined efforts. The first issue is increasing the role of emerging market economies in international financial institutions. The second thing is regulatory reforms in financial sphere. And the third and probably the most controversial issue is the issue of new reserve currencies. So for each of the issues, I present some corollaries for Russia, for BRICS countries in general, and for global financial governance. So what about the rising role of emerging market economies in international financial institutions? So on the first glance, this is the field where we can praise our achievements right now. So something was discussed for at least 5 to 7 years, and now, well, basically since the Asian crisis. But now we have some practical results. But what can we speculate about these results, and what can be expected in the future? So for me, here we have more dilemmas than answers to any practical questions. The principal dilemma for Russia is that, I'm the professional economist, so for me it's a little bit strange to face arguments like that, but those who are political scientists can clearly understand the logic of balance of powers. So if we address official positions of the Russian Federation on issues of global financial governance, so one of the pillars of this official position is finding a balance of, power balance between developed countries, developing countries, and Russia, well, as such, not as a part of both worlds, but some kind of autonomous actor. So from this point of view, Russia praises redistribution of voting rights to developing countries, but it feels uneasy because, well, that's okay to have more balance, but Russia did not benefit from this redistribution itself. So probably we can follow the logic of the balance of powers and say that is okay, that's in principle that is okay. But the direct questions, this is okay and so what? What did we gain? What can Russia do with that? This question has no answer as of now. What does it mean for BRICS? I guess that this is also much more like a dilemma than the solution of any problem. So of course, those countries who get additional voting shares, they do benefit new status and feel increase in their political influence within international financial institutions. But this is a kind of, symbolic gain. What about practical gains? What can be influenced with this new voting power, and what decisions can be taken with the increasing role of developing countries? So this question also remains without any clear answer. Once the reform of international financial institutions was underway, the major argument was that once we get more power, we are free to follow and to propose our own issues for institutional agenda and to struggle to push forward for new solutions. As of now, we have new powers, new potential for pushing forward these agenda items, but still we should wait to see what would be the results of these new powers. As of now, it is not clear how can we use this increased potential. And for global financial governance, this is a common dilemma between legitimacy and efficiency. So this dilemma, basically undermines the efforts of both G8 and G20, and now this is a case with increased participation of developing countries, of emerging markets in international financial institutions. Once we have a limited club of several countries with common interests, with close expertise, with established political, economic, and all the other set of links, so we can expect much more consensual decision-making, which is beneficial for working out workable and efficient policy alternatives. If we have an agency or a club with diverse interests, with sometimes conflicting positions, so we should be cautious about the potential result and about the duration and the quality of the decision-making process. So to integrate these new powerful players within the system of international financial institutions, I guess we should invest some time and efforts to find the optimal strategy for these newcomers to pursue their own interests without putting much mess within the international financial institutions and without undermining the efficiency of decision-making. So these are the basic dilemmas for international financial institutions as I see it. Second, regulatory reforms. What are the major agenda items for these reforms? At the peak of the crisis, there were a lot of suggestions, proposals, and initiatives to do something with the international financial system. What was and what is the focus of these proposals? For Russia, it was a very funny evolution from rather Napoleonic plans to reform everything to much more regional focus without any reasonable suggestions for global reforms. In the year 2009, President Medvedev announced some, 5 steps to reform the global financial architecture, which were faced with some curiosity, but they lacked any precise details. So once Russian delegation at the G20 meeting was addressed with questions, so this is interesting, and what should we do to put all these proposals into practice? So the answer was just silence. So in my opinion, those who proposed these 5 theses were not ready to go into details. And so Russia withdrew all its global financial proposals and focused more on some local and regional initiatives, especially in the CIS region. What about BRICS? For BRICS, there are numerous agenda items to be addressed because because of the limited number of countries within the club. We have many common problems to be addressed. And the most important problems for our economies are volatility of hot money flows. That is what Mr. Studart addressed a couple of minutes ago. Promoting FDI rather than short-term investment. And contributing for the creation of independent rating agencies with new and probably more pronounced stabilizer role instead of destabilizer one, which is characteristic of major commercial rating agencies. As for now, rating agencies advise to buy stock assets once they rise, and advise to sell these assets once they fall, and so this role is pro-cyclical rather than stabilizing one. So something should be done with this system, but God knows what precisely. And for global financial governance, to be honest, there is a widespread consensus between analysts and experts that the right time to exercise radical reforms of global financial governance was lost. The only radical result for that in this field was a reform of Basel Agreement, so-called Basel III. But major point of Basel III is just raising reserve requirements, which is okay, but it's not a systemic answer to the problems financial institutions faced during the crisis. And the second major fault of this agreement is that it was worked out on an official basis without participation of the private financial institutions. So that was the major failure of Basel I agreement, that once this official agreement was forced to be exercised to the private institutions, they criticized this agreement a lot, and they insisted that